with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's Good Morning
Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार.
वनकम,
नमस्कार.
खुशामदीद,
Assalamualaikum.
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము.
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जनेंद्र.
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते हैं याली मदद.
मोराली मतलब बोलते हैं सारे फीजे मतलब बोलेंगे नीसा मतलब बंजान and of course हमारे तेलुगु बदलों को बोलेंगे हम लोग वंदनम everybody out there and सुप्रभात for everybody who actually are speaking Sanskrit in their households. Nobody speaks Sanskrit nowadays, do they? I think there's a village who actually speaks Sanskrit in
There
India.
are actually a lot of people even here they teach Sanskrit.
They teach, but do they speak is a question. Like, you know, is it a part of the day-to-day life, you know?
I think
No,
so.
not the Sanskrit which you come out when you drive cars. But this is I'm not kidding. Faltani is a pandit when it comes to Sanskrit. उसकी Sanskrit निकल जाती है कभी-कभार जब drive करती है, and especially not because of anything else, because of other people. Right, Faltani?
Right.
It's not because of you. तेरा talent तेरे में है, लेकिन उसको बाहर लेके आते हैं जो bad drivers होते हैं ना, and उसका Sanskrit उसका भरतनाट्यम में निकल जाता है, मुद्रा उधर निकलती है उसकी. But वो छोड़ेगा मुझे उसके बारे में और जानकारी देंगे. सबका निकलता है जब ट्रैफिक ऐसा होता है, but of course as of 1 year, people have been living a lot of better, a more development-oriented lifestyle. Even Faltoni, for the matter, for the past 1 year, she actually is living a totally development-oriented lifestyle, right, Faltoni?
I'm trying, Alto Baba.
Yeah, because she doesn't drive much nowadays. That's why she's not able to use all those things. So, सब कम हो गया उसका Sanskrit usage and Bharatanatyam का, usage, right? Road rage कम हो गया था ना?
Okay, fine.
Yes, Bajan. Of course, people are wondering, what are you talking about road rage? Yeah, it's a good lead-in to my traffic update, Bajan, which actually totally mitigates all your road rage you have, footfall you're having also for the matter. So here you go. This is रास्ते का हाल जो हम लोग आपको देते हैं totally सस्ते में.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
Well, Banjan, here's what's happening. You'll see some reports right now coming up from South Bay, North Bay, and East Bay, Banjan. Dekha? Everything, every place is some kind of a congestion going on there. Well, let's start with South Bay, Milpitas and 237 intersection of, actually it's down Milpitas, actually towards Santa Clara. There's a traffic accident with debris on 101 southbound, exiting at 237 west in Sunnyvale. So watch out for that. There's debris on the road, matlab it's dangerous. Drive very carefully. I've had once where I actually had my car got damaged because of debris on the road. So it even can damage your car from beneath. Got to be careful about that, okay? There's also a hazard reported on the 880 northbound near Mission Boulevard in Fremont. The right shoulder is affected there. I see a huge backlog over there. The traffic looks really sluggish in that region. Let's see what else is there. Towards the north in San Francisco, Banjan, the traffic is sluggish over there because of a fire on 280 northbound at the Cesar Chavez Street. Off-ramp is affected over there. It's that's one of the reasons why people actually, I would advise to take an alternate route if possible. It has affected the roads in that area. And again, Banjan, fog reported on 101 northbound and southbound at the Golden Gate Bridge. So watch out for that. In East Bay, if you look at it, that particular one road which takes you to all parts of Livermore, I'm talking about 580 Banjan. There are two incidents there. One, a disabled tractor trailer over there, and also a report of high winds between North Vasco Road and in Livermore and Greenville Road in Livermore and Selvajan. So watch out for that. The high winds in that region. Weather-wise, if you look at it, Banjan, it is looking cloudy outside, right? But it's going to be sunny pretty soon. I think afternoon we'll have some sunshine. Tomorrow is going to be sunny, cloudy as well. Chances of rain, I don't know. Typically, I would say with this kind of a depression, you should have rain, but probably it might happen tomorrow or the day after. Not knowing, we'll give you more information about that. For right now, it is kind of cloudy outside. It is not too cold. It's somewhere in the lower 60s. We go up to the lower 70s maximum, but in the afternoon also, when the sun's out, probably it'll be mid 70s. But that's about the weather for you guys. And yes, abhi aapko Banjan, we're going to go into Gaving Akira because the news desk is still compiling the news for you guys.
No, we have it ready.
Oh, really? The news is ready already, Father? Oh, unbelievable. But Jen, here you go. This is your news headlines for you guys coming up with the news desk. Or you going to directly go into our news? What do you think, Faldoni?
Whatever you prefer, Alto Baba.
I prefer direct news, Faldoni. Let's go into the news. Let's go.
A group of U.S. senators are closing the bid to be able to unveil a $52 billion proposal Friday that would significantly boost U.S. semiconductor chip production and research over 5 years. Sources briefed on the matter said Senators Mark Kelly, John Cornyn, Mark Warner, and Tom Cotton have been negotiating a compromise measure to address the issue in the face of rising Chinese semiconductor production and shortages impacting automakers and other U.S. industries. Trump-backed Stefanik actually wins the Republican House leadership. Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives elected Donald Trump's candidate Elise Stefanik to their leadership, succeeding Liz Cheney, who they ousted earlier this week for criticizing the former president's continued false claims of election fraud. Stefanik, who is a 36-year-old congresswoman from New York State and a Trump loyalist, rose to prominence with her fierce defense of Donald Trump during his first impeachment trial, while Cheney angered her Republican colleagues by rejecting what she called Trump's big lie about his November loss to Democratic President Joe Biden. The secret ballot vote boosted Trump's dominance over the party even after it lost its majorities in the House and Senate, as well as the White House during his single term in office. Trump is positioning himself to play a major role in the next year's congressional elections and is also flirting with a 2024 White House run. Stefanik says, he is a critical part of our Republican team, and I believe that our voters choose the leader of the Republican Party, and President Trump is the leader that they look to. U.S. lawmakers have agreed on a bipartisan panel to probe the Jan 6th attack. The top Democrat and Republican on the House of Reps Homeland Security Committee have reached a deal to push forward with a bipartisan independent commission to investigate the Jan 6th storming of the U.S. Capitol, the lawmakers said on Friday. In a statement, Democratic Chairman Benny Thompson and Ranking Member John Katko said they would introduce legislation for consideration before the House as soon as next week to set up the investigative panel modeled after the one used to probe the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Google is leading the fight for preserving work permits for spouses of people who are on H-1B visas. Alphabet Inc.'s Google said on Friday that it was leading about 30 companies and trade groups in opposing a lawsuit that seeks to stop over 90,000 spouses of highly skilled U.S. visa workers from having jobs in this country. The organizations contend undoing employment authorizations for spouses would cause financial havoc for the families because most made life choices such as having children or buying homes based on the expectation of two incomes. A federal judge in Washington is expected to decide in the coming months on the lawsuit challenging the work permits tied to H-4 visas, which are issued to spouses of H-1B visa holders in high-skilled roles in the tech and other industries. In local news, Banajan, let's tell you that Cal Fire crews Friday morning responded to a brush fire in the Santa Cruz Mountains near Huddart Park area of San Mateo County. Access to the Canada Fire by the ground is limited due to steep terrain, and Cal Fire has launched a helicopter to respond to the scene, while some ground crews tried to reach the fire on foot, officials have said. This fire was near the Toyon campground, which was under an acre in size as of 9 a.m. and smoke was first reported at 6:08 a.m. Stanford is now testing babies, young children, for the COVID-19 vaccine trials. Now, Stanford researchers are having younger children to be part of the COVID-19 vaccine trial group. As young teens walked into Levi Stadium yesterday for their shots, some younger children tagged along and were wondering when they can be next. Claire McIntyre is one of the people whose little sister was also very eager to get the vaccine shot. She said she's a little jealous that she hasn't been able to get the shot yet. Many are now asking about what vaccine shots are going to be issued to younger children, and Stanford has now started the trials on them. You remember that backseat Tesla driver that we talked about, Altu?
Yeah, what up? What happened to him? What happened to him?
Well, this Bay Area Tesla driver, Desi guy actually, who was arrested after putting his car on autopilot and sitting in the back seat, describes it as a magical experience. And he says he's unapologetic. The California Highway Patrol, however, said his actions are illegal and asked residents who see him on the road in a similar situation to contact authorities. It's actually very normal for me to sit in the back like that, said Param Sharma, who's 25 years old, who was seen on the video on the freeway in Oakland last week. A couple of days later, somebody else spotted him on the Bay Bridge heading to Oakland and called the CHP. So the CHP is saying that nobody is supposed to be driving, even if it's a self-drive technology. They're supposed to be sitting in the driver's seat and not in the back seat. Yesterday there was a mask wearing guidance that came out from the CDC, right, where they said that people who are fully vaccinated do not need to wear a mask anymore, but the Bay Area is waiting on that mask guidance because they are not ready to just take them off. In San Francisco, reaction was swift even before people knew whether California would allow this new mask guidance or not. I think there are a lot of people who are not vaccinated who would be very much at risk because they would go along with those of us that are vaccinated. Adrian Fodor of San Francisco said. So we are still waiting it out to see how things are going to play out till more people get vaccinated. Those are the news from across the United States and right here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Banjan. We have the world news coming up shortly, but before that, over to Akhtar Baba.
All right, Banjan, so it's time for us to go into a Gani ka Kheera, which land up for you guys. Friday hai Banjan, so Friday to Mastani Gane bajenge aapke liye Banjan. So here's a beautiful song which I think has got a lot of meaning to it from the movie Bahare Fir Bhi Aayenge Banjan. And singer, of course, Mahendra Kapoor ji. Lyrics by Shaheen Rizvi.
बदल जाए अगर माली चमन होता नहीं खाली बहारें फिर भी आती हैं बहारें फिर भी आएंगी बदल जाए अगर माली चमन होता नहीं खाली बहारें फिर भी आती हैं बहारें फिर भी आएंगी बदल जाए अगर माली चमन होता नहीं खाली.
A beautiful song, Banjan. ये फिल्म जो है बहारे फिर भी आएंगे is one of the productions of Gurudat Films, Banjan, and Dharmendra ji ka is a lead role in this. Tanuja and Mala Sinha also are one of the main characters in this movie.
थकन कैसी घुटन कैसी चल अपनी धुन में दीवाने थकन कैसी घुटन कैसी चल अपनी धुन में दीवाने खिला ले फूल कांटों में सजा ले अपने वीराने खिला ले फूल कांटों में सजा ले अपने वीराने हवाएं आग भड़काएं फजाएं जहर बरसाएं बहारें फिर भी आती हैं बहारें फिर भी आएंगी.
That's bad, Banjan. You might be going through a hard time right now. In fact, we all are going through a hard time, maybe because of the repercussions of whatever happened with COVID situation Banjan last year. But of course, एक promise है कि it will pass and good times will come back, Banjan. That's what it says in the song. So, giving that outlook to all our brothers out there, let's quickly go and take a look at what's happening around the world. Falsani, do you have some news around the world? Because I heard, okay, but I read someplace, one of the medical journals, it said that the COVID variant in India, it's called the double variant, it's called. Now, this one actually also is showing up its face in the US.
Yeah, because they're saying that some people who travel back from India with that brought that variant back to us.
Yeah, so mother, very important to actually make sure you're vaccinated, Manajan. And second thing is continue wearing the masks and washing your hands and staying healthy and physically distancing and only socializing with people probably you already know or have been socializing with who have not had the travel from India.
Absolutely. So here are the world news headlines from Radio Tiharis this Friday morning, Banajan, March the 14th, right here in the San Francisco Bay Area. March, no, I beg your pardon. It's May 14th. Why am I saying March 14th? Anyway,
Good
Israel.
morning.
Huh?
Good morning.
Good morning, yes. Israel pummels Gaza with artillery fire and airstrikes on Friday as it targeted Palestinian militant tunnels to try to stop persistent rocket attacks on Israeli towns. The 40-minute pre-dawn offensive killed 13 Palestinians, including a mother and her 3 children whose bodies were pulled from the rubble of their home, health officials in Gaza said. The Israeli operation included 160 aircrafts as well as tanks and artillery firing from outside the Gaza Strip, Israeli military spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus said. Palestinian rocket barrages against the southern Israel swiftly followed on the 5th day of the most serious fighting between Israel and Gaza militants since 2014. An explosion inside a mosque on the outskirts of the Afghan capital Kabul killed at least 12 people during Friday prayers as worshippers gathered for the Eid al-Fitr holiday during a ceasefire. The Taliban insurgent group, which declared the 3-day truce for the holiday, condemned the attack in a statement that there was no immediate claim of responsibility. Firdouz Faramaz, who is a spokesman for the Kabul police, said the mosque's imam was among the 12 dead and that at least 15 people were wounded in the blast at a mosque in the capital's Shakar Dara district. The blast came less than a week after an explosion at a school that killed 80 people, most of them schoolgirls from the ethnic Hazara Shiite Muslim minority. The Taliban also denounced that attack and no one claimed responsibility. President Vladimir Putin said on Friday that neighboring Ukraine was becoming anti-Russia and that Moscow would be ready to react to what he said were threats to its own security. Putin was speaking a day after a Ukrainian court placed Viktor Medvedchuk, a prominent pro-Russian politician who says Putin is godfather to his daughter, under house arrest. Medvedchuk, who has promoted closer ties with Moscow and acted as an intermediary between Moscow and Kiev in the past, is being investigated over treason allegations that he calls are politically motivated. In India, the situation is really bad, Bandajan, because right now the COVID crisis is pushing up the cost of living and also of the dying. Ashok Khondare, a 39-year-old vegetable seller in the western Indian city of Pune, had already borrowed money to pay for his sister's treatment when she died in a private hospital 2 weeks after contracting COVID-19. While trying to overcome the tragedy, he also had to deal with money problems that increased with his sister's death. The only available hearse driver charged 5,000 Indian rupees for a 6-kilometer journey to the nearest crematorium, 5 times the going rate. When he reached there was a long queue of dead bodies and he had to pay another 7,000 rupees to jump the queue. I've been experiencing a terrible situation for over a fortnight and I've not been able to sleep or eat properly. I want this to end as early as possible and I really didn't mind paying an irrational amount. India's second wave of coronavirus has not only created shortages of oxygen, medicine and hospital beds, but also shortage of wood for funeral pyres, hearse and crematorium slots, forcing people to pay exorbitant amounts to perform the last rites of their loved ones. It is reporting by far the highest number of new daily cases globally and over 4,000 deaths per day, figures that are almost certainly underreported according to experts. Speaking on the COVID deaths, Banajan, analysis of the COVID deaths in this year in Maharashtra has found a decline of over 60% in fatality rates across the age brackets, despite a 44% rise in the caseload compared to last year. The only exception in this case are fatalities in children below 10 years, which are at nearly the same rate for both 2020 and 2021. So the CFR is actually a ratio of coronavirus deaths to the number of patients who have actually tested positive. Broadly, the distribution of cases and mortality in different age groups has mirrored the trend seen in the first wave. In both waves, the age group of 31 to 40 has seen the maximum number of infections, while 61 to 70 has seen the maximum number of deaths. In other news with regard to the COVID virus, Banujan, I remember we talked about something called black fungus, Altu Baba?
Yes.
Which was actually making things worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a report that has come out in the Times of India with regard to this, with cases of mucormycosis, or what you call the black fungus infection, on the rise in states like Maharashtra and Delhi. The Union Health Ministry has issued a list of do's and don'ts for recovered COVID patients who could be experiencing these symptoms. Now, these are people who have recovered from it, okay? So remember this. This mucormycosis is actually caused by a fungal infection. People catch this by coming in contact with fungal spores in the environment. It can also develop on the skin after the fungus enters the skin through a cut, scrape, burn, or any other type of skin trauma. So what they're saying is some of the people who are at risk of contracting this are people with uncontrolled diabetes, weakening of the immune system, who are taking steroids, like, people who are asthma patients and stuff, they have steroidal medication, right? Prolonged ICU or hospital stay, comorbidities or post-organ transplant or cancer, voricozonal therapy, which is used to treat a serious fungal infections. So what are things that you shouldn't be doing and what should you be doing? Don't miss the warning signs, first of all. What should you do is control your diabetes. Monitor glucose level, COVID discharge, and in diabetics, also use steroids very judiciously. Use clear sterile water for humidifiers during oxygen therapy, and use antibiotics, antifungal judiciously. Don't hesitate in seeking aggressive interventions and investigations as appropriate for detecting fungal etiology, is what they're saying at this particular point in time. And Banujan, the monsoon season is arriving early in Kerala, is what they're saying right now. The Indian Meteorological Department has said that the southwest monsoon is likely to arrive in Kerala as early as May 31st, a day early than its normal onset date. So more on all of this you can find on mediamahima.com, Banujan. That's all we have time for this morning's Good Morning Bay. We'll be back tonight live at 5 with Ye Sham Mastani. And here is a Mastani Gana for you. Have yourselves a fantastic Friday.
तेरे सपने तेरे काम आएंगे प्यारे, तेरे अरमां तेरे सपने, जमाना तुझसे हो बरहम, न आए राह पर मौसम, बहारें फिर भी आती हैं, बहारें फिर भी आएंगी.
Banujan, this is your darling Faltu Rani, and let me tell